Welcome to Vibes and Frequencies. I'm Nathan, and more than anything in the world, I like spending my time working with crystals and traveling through dimensions. So today in this video, I'm going to put both topics together. I've been having a lot of luck for a while now with accessing the Akashic Records, and I've decided it's time to create a video that has to do with all the information that I know and I've experienced to help you and possibly anybody else coming through get to the Akashic Records and access this incredible dimension that will help you to create your life to be boundless with infinite intelligence. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to talk about my top 3 crystals that I've had success with getting the Akashic Records. And then I'm also going to share with you my experience of being in the Akashic Records, what it feels like, and I'm going to talk about some misconceptions of things that I've seen other people say in their videos. I'm also going to mention some plant medicine and some meditations and rituals that can help you to experience the Akashic Records for the very first time. So we got a lot going on in this video. I'm really pumped about this. Let's get started with the top 3 crystals. Welcome to the top 3 crystals that can help you to access the Akashic Records. We're going to hop right in, but first we'll pose a question. What is it about crystals that help us to access the Akashic Records? And to better answer this, I would like to demonstrate this image to you. Now this, go ahead and pretend, is you. Now all of these lines here just represent dimensions. First dimension, second dimension, third, so on and so forth. Now, here's the thing. When we say we're going to the Akashic Records, the Akashic Records is not a place that we are going to because we're already in the Akashic Records. All of the dimensions exist simultaneously together and create like an epic soup bowl, basically. That is your experience of consciousness and reality. So some of us have a bigger hold in certain dimensions. Perhaps you feel a heavy weight in the 3rd dimension and your reality seems to be based more on 3D. Perhaps you are more based on 5D. While all simultaneously exist, some of us have a bigger hand in certain dimensions. So crystals are actually like we can think of a freeze frame of certain dimensions. As in, the crystals themselves, just like us, have a hand a little bit more firmly in certain dimensions than others. So the first crystal that I want to bring into this and talk about here with you is actually, it's not going to surprise my subscribers, I know. Don't worry, we'll move on pretty quick. This is a piece of moldavite. Moldavite equals number 1 crystal to help you to access the Akashic Records. Now, the thing about moldavite is that moldavite is a really special crystal that has its hand in every single dimension. Just like us, all of them exist together. But what's really exciting about moldavite is that it resonates with our own energy and becomes like a spiritual companion that helps to direct our attention to dimensions of ourselves that might need a little bit of help. Perhaps a little bit of work. So if you right now in your human vehicle suit have made a choice, what is this on my ear for? Have made a choice to go to the Akashic Records, it's highly likely and possible that your higher self, as in the part of you that exists in the higher dimensions, but you just aren't necessarily aware of because perhaps your hand is a little bit too firmly in the 3D dimension, right? Moldavite is just like bringing that higher self in and the transformational of the energy of the universe that's already woven into everything. So a lot of the reason why a lot of us aren't accessing the Akashic Records is actually because we're carrying low vibrational, quote unquote, low vibrational energy. We're carrying it in a metaphorical backpack. We're carrying around a backpack of a whole bunch of beliefs, ideas, personality, identity, so on and so forth, of these lower vibrational habits and things that have been programmed into us, but it's not actually us. Now, who's going to get to the Akashic Records? It's you. But it will be much more helpful to get to the Akashic Records if you are you and not a fake version of yourself, as in a costume with all of these different masks. If you are not centered with a certain kind of stillness within yourself, if you do not have an awareness as to who you are, but more correctly, who you are not, then it will be very complicated for you to travel dimensions in general. You may find yourself very weighted and grounded in one specific frame of reality and never able to get out. So Moldavite is this crazy transformational energy that kicks up all of these circumstances and things in your life to mix things up. Moldavite is the crystal you give to people who don't feel crystal energy. Moldavite is the crystal that will create all kinds of drastic change in your life like this. It's literally ridiculous. It like really kicks it up a notch. So this is exactly why Moldavite is one of the best crystals to help you to access the Akashic Records, is because it can help you to let go of the things that are keeping you from being able to access the Akashic Records. Now, not only this, but Moldavite actually, each individual piece, I have no proof for this, but it's my own experience, and that's what I'm sharing. Moldavite is carrying specific downloads and information within it. Downloads and information that exist within the Akashic Records. By simply walking around with your Moldavite, wearing it on a necklace, keeping it on you, sleeping with it under your pillow, literally you don't have to do anything, just keeping it on you, you will start to have downloads and information awaken within you that is from the Akashic Records. Now, it's not exactly what we're talking about in this video, with actually, in a sense, teleporting our full conscious being into this dimension, but it is worth a mention, and that's exactly why Moldavite is crystal number 1. Crystal number 2 to help you to access the Akashic Records dimension is actually my favorite one for this. And it would not have been before, but because I've kind of quote-unquote advanced with my crystal work and dimensional travel, I've realized the power of this, and it's Quartz crystal. Now, this one is so common, it's literally all over the place, and it's super affordable. And I think that this causes people to think that quartz is not that powerful of a crystal. From all my crystal experience, guys, I'm telling you right now, I'm having the most powerful time that I've ever had with quartz. And this is because quartz is a mega amplifier and is so easily programmable by us. Now, what this means is that quartz can actually hold on to memory and energetic intention and information that you put within it. Quartz is the #1 crystal for shifting dimensions, according to me. Now, when we're talking about shifting dimensions here, we're going to segue away from the Akashic Records, just so I can better explain by how we're going to use quartz to do this. We are constantly shifting through dimensions. We are constantly waking up into new versions of ourselves every single moment. Right now in this moment, I'm a different person than the previous moment. But not just slightly, drastically different. The thing is that we are literally shifting through rapid realities that look completely different from one another. But our physicality, our human mind, is perceiving information through a linear span, a linear timeline. Now, what this means is that when you shift dimensions, your human brain will not realize it. What will happen is all of your past memories, all of the past information, your life story, certain things that happened to you in your childhood, so on and so forth, will have changed. You will have a different memory system that justifies the new dimension that you are in. So we are constantly shifting dimensions all of the time. We just don't realize it. We aren't aware of it. The thing about quartz is it's such a powerful amplifier that I could literally hold this quartz and I could feel into a certain version of myself that I want to be. Let's go ahead and just say, because it's relevant and makes sense, I'm shifting to become a YouTuber with 100,000 subscribers. Now, as I hold this quartz crystal and I feel that energy and I imagine the feelings of what it feels like to be this version of myself, I feel that, I believe that it's really me, and at this point, I'm completely certain that this is my version. Now, what I'm doing is I'm holding this quartz crystal the whole time that this process is taking place. Now, what's happening is I'm literally shifting myself rapidly through the fundamental processes that make up our universe, aka the dimensions. The dimensions we're talking about. And it just starts going ham. So what happens is it will literally launch me like a rocket ship into the dimension of my choosing. Here's the thing about shifting dimensions, though, that's important to understand. When you shift to one thing that you want to experience, you are going to change all kinds of other things in that reality that you might not have wanted to change or anticipated. And this is because of the butterfly effect. I'm shifting myself to become 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, but maybe this version of me doesn't have any friends or something. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that version of me is so focused on videos I have no friends. So you can be changing all kinds of different things you might not have realized. But essentially what you could do is you can hold on to Quartz and you can focus on the energy of the Akashic Records and you can shift yourself to that dimension. Now, what this means if this interests you and you're thinking to work with Quartz, and this is what's exciting to you the most right now, make sure to hang in till the end of the video because I'm going to talk about what it feels like being in the Akashic Records. And this feeling that I talk about in the end is exactly what you'll want to focus on and direct your energy towards when you're holding the Quartz to do this. And I really believe you'll have a lot of luck with this, so definitely make sure to stick around. Now we're going to hop into number 3. Crystal number 3 to help you to access the Akashic Records is called Phenakite. Now, I've got here a piece to show you that's wrapped on my necklace, and it's the top one right here. Now, Phenakite is known throughout the crystal community and amongst people who are pretty close to crystal masters, I'd say, as being the highest vibrational crystal of terrestrial origin. Now, again, when we opened with this, with the top 3 crystals, we discussed how there's all the different dimensions and how each crystal has kind of a different energetic grip in certain dimensions that can help you to access that and to grow this energy, right? Now, Phenakite is the one with connections to some of the highest dimensions out of any of the crystals that I've ever worked with. So it really can help you to go higher than all the others. Now, here's the thing about the Akashic Records. That image I showed you that was drawn, first dimension, second dimension, third, fourth, fifth, we can think of Akashic, and this is how I think about this based on my own experience, as being dimension number 0. It's like the base. The Akashic is like nothingness, like before creation, essentially. Which sounds counterintuitive because we think of the Akashic Records as being this full library with all of this crazy information and things we have access to. Now, this is true that all information exists in the Akash, but the thing is that the Akash is actually more closely, directly explainable as being nothingness, empty space, void, because it's dimension 0. It's complete stillness, essentially. Now, it's only because it is nothing that everything exists there. And I've mentioned this many times throughout my videos for a while now, but nothing could be anything. Think about it. If you have an empty box, your imagination could therefore create anything with it. Now, imagination is another fundamental kind of energy that's woven through all the dimensions and what it means to be human. We literally are imagining that we are a human right now. This is like a hallucination dream. So literally our whole experience of consciousness is based on imagination. Now, if the Akashic is dimension 0, and we think about this in a linear sense and with height, how would Phenokite, the highest vibrational crystal that connects you to the highest dimensions, help you to access the Akashic? This doesn't make sense. Phenokite helps us to access the Akashic in a very different way from the other 2 crystals that I've mentioned. Phenokite is essentially like standing you up on the top of this really high ladder. Now, when you're all the way up there, you can see all of the steps below you. You have a higher perspective of everything. So Phenokite's really interesting because you can literally start channeling energy and information from all of the dimensions lower from you. And part of this has to do with the fact that it's such a high vibration that it literally causes your vibration to have to shift rapidly to become that vibration itself. Now, this puts you in a very good place for a lot of reasons with a lot of different dimensions and information in life. But when it comes to the Akashic, Phenokite is the one that I've had the best luck with of just naturally, inherently connecting to this dimension without even realizing it. Now, I've actually got a whole video talking about using Phenokite to access the Akashic Records, so I'm going to snip this in the butt right here, and we're going to hop on to the next part, and I'll have that Phenokite Akashic Records video tagged in the description for you guys. Now what we're going to do is discuss together the energetic presence of Akashic Records, as in full, if not close to full, submersion in this dimension. The Akashic Records is a dimension which is full of all information. But the thing is that when this information is accessible to you and when it's coming through you, it actually has nothing to do with you as you may be familiar with yourself right now. As in the physicality, the mental thinking, things like this. When you're in the Akashic Records, it is not that all of a sudden information just starts coming to you and your brain all of a sudden becomes a genius and you just know everything. It actually has nothing to do with your brain at all. Actually, when you are accessing the Akashic Records, it is as if your mind no longer exists. It is as if you yourself become absolute silence and stillness. There is no longer any momentum of feeling or thought. Imagine completely blank space. This is the Akashic Records. Now, what happens in this space is that everything exists. Everything exists and doesn't simultaneously. Now, because we are constantly shifting through different dimensions, this means information is constantly changing as well. All of the information in the Akashic Records is constantly shifting to be what is truth according to the timeline which you are currently present in. So when you access the Akashic Records, you're not literally grabbing onto information. It's actually more like relevant information is simply flowing through you. It's as if it literally just comes through you. If you are channeling the Akashic Records for someone else, if you are someone who knows how to access the Akashic Records and someone is asking you questions for you to respond to from the Akashic Records, the state that you would find yourself in is not, again, a high intellectual state, but a completely blank space. Your ego, your human meat suit which you exist in, suddenly just becomes quiet, and yet words come out of your mouth, but they aren't yours. It's as if something else is speaking through you, and yet also not. It's a very interesting feeling and place to be. Now, many people go to the Akashic Records and have interest in going here because of past lives, but past, future equal linear. Now we're talking about fourth dimension of time, which is mostly even imagined and hallucinated by our egoic mind. Our physicality is hallucinating this process so that we can experience reality in the way that we do. There are no past lives. You will not access past lives in the Akashic Records. What you will do in the Akashic Records is live different lives. You will experience vast multitudes amounts of different people. You will experience yourself being all kinds of different things. I lived a life, like an entire life that felt like this long of a normal life as this older woman is like obviously how it ended. But it's not a past life. It's more so could be explained as a parallel life, a parallel experience. Because all is one. You literally are everyone. You are you, but I am also you and you are also me. Literally. All of the lines and walls and barriers do not exist in the Akashic Records. The Akashic Records is nothingness and also everything simultaneously. Akashic Records is oneness. All is one. So you're not living past lives and experiencing past lives and you just all of a sudden know all these different lives you've lived, like some people make it sound. This is not the case. You are simply experiencing the vastness that is you when you are consciously aware of the Akashic Records. Now, the Akashic Records isn't even a place you need to sit down in deep meditation to get to. It's not even a place you need crystals to get to. It's a fundamental dimension that exists and is part of our reality all of the time. So when you find yourself occurring within the Akashic Records, when you find your consciousness all of a sudden alert and awake in this space, when you practice and you go here more, suddenly life just becomes this way. You suddenly are always in the Akashic Records. What it feels like is like you are literally everyone, all of the plants, all the animals, even all the material and physical things that are created. You literally are everything happening at once. This is why you suddenly have access to all information, is because you are all information. The Akashic Records does not equal a place to go to get information. The Akashic Records equals who you really are. Nothingness and everything simultaneously. Oneness. This is why we have access to all the information, and it's really freaking cool. What does it feel like to be in the Akashic Records? I literally cannot explain it to you any better than pure stillness. For my physicality, my person feels completely still, unpushed by anything. The wind blows through me like I am simply a hollow vessel. This is what it feels like. But what it also feels like energetically is like absolute bliss, absolute boundlessness, because there are no walls anymore. You really are everything. And this is why all information exists in the Akashic Records, because everything exists right now in the present moment. There is no past, there is no future, there is only experience. And that is what we are. I have here in my hands a cutting of San Pedro cactus, also known as huachuma. Now, this is a sacred plant medicine that is very visionary. Many of you have heard of ayahuasca, and this is talked about as being this incredibly transformative experience. For some reason, people are not really talking about San Pedro with the same kind of gratitude and exuberance, and yet it's right up there. I have done both of these experiences, and I find San Pedro to be incredible. Now, San Pedro, it is illegal in many places to extract the compound from it, which is what you would want to consume. But I am not going to consume this, and I don't recommend that anybody breaks the law. And if you do live in a place where it's legal, make sure to do your own research first and make sure that you know what you are getting yourself into. The reason that I recommend San Pedro is because other psychedelic substances seem to have a sort of push. Some of them, for example, LSD, very electric. It's spastic, high energy. Psilocybin mushrooms. These also have a heavy force to them that pushes you and is showing you something. It is as if you are in full communication with the mushroom. So what I'm saying here is that these psychedelics create massive amounts of momentum that push you in certain directions. This is not what we want for Akashic Record experience. Akashic Record, again, is stillness, not momentum. San Pedro is, in my opinion, the purest, most honest psychedelic experience out of all of the substances that I've tried. And this is my own personal opinion here, okay? It is the most honest and pure. It doesn't push you in any direction. It simply is a very stillness type experience. San Pedro is very great for helping us to experience what a real meditative state is actually like if you have not experienced it on your own in meditation. Now, the power of this is not to stock up on a bunch of San Pedro and, just anytime you want to do this, you just do San Pedro all the time. The power of psychedelics is that it can create a reference point for you. You can do the experience once, and you can really listen and pay attention and allow yourself to fully integrate the experience. And now what happens is you felt what it's like to be in this state. You felt the stillness, you felt the calmness, you felt the infinite boundlessness of information that you are. You've experienced the infinite complexities of reality. When you have this experience, you will walk away and be changed forever. There are some things you cannot unsee. And this is exactly why I recommend doing your own research before doing this. But this is the power of this. Now, second to this, of course, I'm going to recommend meditation for accessing the Akashic Records. If you are not meditating and you are interested in dimensions, then I'm not sure what you're doing right now. No offense at all, but meditation is the staple of the spiritual journey, and I will stick true to this throughout anything that I ever say. While I do love crystals, while I have had profound life-changing experiences with psychedelics, meditation is 100% the most transformative tool and experience that we can carry in all dimensions of life, always, all of the time. It is the truest state of stillness and accessing infinite intelligence. It is the truest and the rawest, and it is the one which you can carry with you through everything. It isn't something that you need to take. It is something that is who you are. So definitely meditate for the Akashic Records. I highly recommend that if you have not had a meditative breakthrough, if you feel that perhaps you're struggling with meditation or you don't really understand what you should be doing, it's okay, no worries. There's a lot of mixed info out there. I've got 2 videos tagged in the description for you to help you to dive into meditation. If you find this video helpful, informative, fun, exciting, definitely don't forget to go below right now, hit that thumbs up button, make sure to click the bell notification so you don't miss the next video, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought of this video. Let me know what you'd like to see more of, maybe what you could do a little bit without. It really helps me to create the content in a way that's best for all of us. Thank you so much for watching all the way through. I had a really good time making this video. Make sure to subscribe because I got 2 coming out every week, and right now we're shifting dimensions, baby. We got better and better stuff coming, and I can't wait to share it with you. Thank you so much. I'll see you for the next video.